The second common misconception... And hello once again, Internet. Nice to see you. I'd like to get a couple of updates out of the way before I get into kind of the meat of the episode. First off, no, I'm not done. Not going away anytime soon. I didn't really intentionally take a break. It just kind of ended up happening that way. Honestly, I'm trying to find a way to keep this channel alive. Trying to come up with new content ideas. I've been doing some DIY projects, some prototyping, a few of those kinds of things, just to try and come up with some ideas and get the creative juices flowing for myself. And I think it was worth it. I've got a couple of projects in the wings, and hopefully you'll see the fruits of those, and I'll be able to show you what I'm talking about in the not too distant future. The vast majority of my videos are going to remain archery related. There's no question about that. That is definitely what I want to keep doing. To be honest, that's not the only side of me. And you're going to see that with some of the projects I hope to show you. The other thing is I'm actually going to try and be a little bit more regular with content. There were a couple ideas with a friend of mine from some of my online things, actually from gaming, which you're going to see, where you're going to do a little bit of a collaboration kind of thing for both his channel and for mine. And it's going to be another side of me that you guys haven't been able to see yet. And the second update is actually on the trainer. If you have seen the how to use my trainer episode, then you know that I had a problem with my string. And I've actually spent the past few weeks trying to fix that. The zip ties were a constant source of failure and frustration. They initially held out, but it seemed like the more I used it, the more they failed. So I've come up with ditching the zip ties altogether. Basically what I did is I looped, just looped the elastic around the two paracord loops. And this has been working much better. The foam handles are just kind of to hold everything so that I don't have to keep folding and finding the centers and all that kind of stuff. Although over time that will become much easier as the rubber just, forms and stuff. Which the rubber may end up breaking because of that, because that's usually when rubber does break, is as it gets into form, it gets thinner and it breaks. So probably not a permanent solution, but a much more long-term solution as far as I can tell so far. So the first idea I had was these little sections of pen. And I don't know if you can see it that well on camera, but basically what I did was I cut little barbs into the plastic to try and grab onto the plastic to keep it in the loop. And I actually got that idea from the King of Random. I don't know if you know who he is or not, but if you look him up on YouTube, I think you'll be pretty pleased with the content he puts out. It's pretty fun to watch sometimes. But when that didn't work, I don't know if I got the wrong pens, the wrong diameter, or just the wrong style. They just didn't grab that well. So I kept on looking, kept on trying to find ways to keep this loop. I used twist ties to try and keep the loop. Obviously, that didn't work very well. What I ended up going with was the way the factory does it. Underneath the actual, when it's in the intact band, underneath these, there's this joint where it's joined by this little plastic piece on the inside. I ended up harvesting those. I actually said in the very first build video I might use it in a later project, and I ended up doing just that, and it has been working great. It keeps the loop, it keeps them from separating. As you can tell, I can pull and pull and pull, and it's not going anywhere. So that has become the solution for now, and it's been working very well. Now for the actual subject matter that I want to cover, and that is some common misconceptions that I have encountered about instinctive archery and traditional archery. The first of which I'd like to cover is actually very basic and very simple. When I talk to an experienced archer or someone who is, has done their research about archery, I tell them I'm a traditional instinctive archer. They say, "Oh, okay," and we continue the conversation. But a newbie like myself, when I was first starting out, traditional instinctive archery, I get this glazed over look of, "Why are you telling me the same thing twice?" That's the first misconception, is that traditional archery and instinctive archery are the same thing. Instinctive archery, you can shoot instinctive with a compound bow, with a recurve bow, with a long bow, with a kid's bow. Instinctive is more of a method, and traditional archery is more of a style, I guess. It's actually really more about my chosen equipment. Traditional archers, they're limited with what they can do. Specifically with competitions, traditional archers, they have this specific set of equipment guidelines. And so that is more what traditional archery is. It's either a longbow or a recurve bow. They don't stipulate materials. They can be some of the new modern materials or traditional old wooden bows. That's not a distinction that they make. The other type of traditional archery, though, is gap shooting. And that's not something I've experimented with, so I can't really talk about it at all, because I know it's a method of aiming where, how far above and below the target you aim in order to hit your mark. But that's pretty much the extent I know about gap shooting, so I'm not going to talk about it any further. But that is another style of traditional archery. There's traditional gap shooting, and then there's traditional instinctive shooting. And, but they both use the same equipment. So that's the distinction that is made there, is traditional archery is more about the equipment than the style, which I have chosen instinctive. The second common misconception that I have seen is that it's easy. There's two sides to that, and the first is, of course, that it's easy to get into, and that is very true. All you need is a bow, arrows, and something to shoot at that you don't mind destroying. But the fact that it's easy to do is another misconception, because I would re-tag instinctive archery as muscle memory archery. This idea that instinctive archery is easy to do comes from the word instinctive. It's, I can do it just because I can do it. No. You can do this just because you can do this. But as far as sending arrows in a grouping that, is recognizable as semi-accurate, that's just not easy. I found this to be true. And it takes time to develop your instincts. They take a lot of time to where you can, look at a target, aim, and hit it. I'm not even to that point yet. I'm not even going to try and tout that, I'm an awesome instinctive archer. I'm not. I'm just not. But I still like it because it feels good. There are a lot of people out there who prefer to have aids. And I'm not going to say anything against them, because I think sights and stabilizers and all that kind of stuff, they do aid you with a specific style. A lot of instinctive archery, we're not going to do it at 90 meters. Instinctive archery at 90 meters would be, I don't even want to think about it. That's just crazy, crazy distance. But target recurve shooters, that's a common distance for them. If they're in the competition scene and they're shooting a round that uses that, it's actually fairly common. So, they can hit that a lot more proficiently than an instinctive archer because they have the additional equipment, which is why in a competition I'm not measured up to their standards. The fact that it's easy just is not true. It is time consuming, it takes patience, it takes practice, and it takes perseverance. And if those aren't your things, if you're not a patient person, instinctive archery is not for you. Whether it's easy to do or not, if you're not patient or you don't have the time to develop it, instinctive archery is not for you, whether it's easy or not. It's honestly, if you don't have the time, then archery is not for you. Even if you're not shooting instinctive, or you're shooting, a gap method or a string walking method, or you're using sights, it's no matter what you're doing, it's not easy. It's just not. So just put that out of your head. If you're beginning in archery and you're doing it because it's easy, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, because it's just not. And you have too high an expectation, you're gonna quit. Might as well not start. To be blunt, yes, and as a beginner, it's kind of hard for me to be that kind of blunt. But I would have loved to have known that going in myself, because I had this common misconception. I thought it was going to be easy. Now, I have the patience for it, and it's something that I have an interest in and I am having fun with, so I am continuing with it. But I would have loved to have known how not easy it is going into it. So the final misconception that I'm going to address in this video is you don't have to aim. That is, again, put that out of your mind. It is just a different way of aiming. I have heard it expressed as a spray and pray kind of thing. That's something you hear with machine gun fires, spray and pray. But that is the common misconception that I see with instinctive archery. They just send arrows and just expect to do something. And again, that's just not the case. At least when I do it, and there's another YouTuber on here who actually explained it much better than I can. Grizzly Jim over at Merlin's Archery Adventures and their channel. He is an instinctive shooter, and he has a lot of those tips and tricks that you're going to be looking for. And one of them is the focus that it takes. And he actually is able to articulate that focus a lot better than I can. So I highly recommend going over and looking up his How to Shoot a Bow video specifically. And I'll put a link in the description for his How to Shoot a Bow video, because it goes into all of pretty much his entire shot process, thought process, shot cycle, the whole shebang, and he's able to articulate it much, much better than I can. So I highly recommend, if you're really interested in instinctive archery, go check out that video specifically, and check out his channel. It's awesome. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. I hope you found it entertaining. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you got something, new out of it. I hope you were able to glean something that either you didn't know, or something now you can maybe take to other people that want to know. And if you find an inconsistency within the video, or I'm totally off base on some of these things, leave a comment. I apologize for the lighting. I'm doing this at a weird time of the day, and I'm in a weird part of the house. I don't have very many options there. So the lighting changed, and my camera died, and just, yeah, not the best time, but I wanted to get another video out for you guys. So anyway, I hope you found this enjoyable. I hope you found it helpful in some way. So I will talk to you later.